And welcome to the daily space weather. We've got growth of sunspot 3085. That's this group you see in the northern hemisphere. And some new sunspot groups forming in the southeast. Yes, this one's a beta gamma class. This one's only alpha class so far. Some setting regions over here in the west increase the likelihood of solar flares as well. Here's your colorized magnetogram. And by the way, welcome to the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. I'm your host, Dan, a.k.a. Smash-O-Mash. That is yesterday and today's colorized magnetogram imagery from SDO. And here, let's add 171 angstroms. So some new regions to get named today. And let's briefly look at volcanoes. Chikarachi produced a 2-kilometer volcanic ash plume. It extended to the east of the volcano. That is sourced from the Kamchatka Volcanic Eruption Response Team. Abiko, which is nearby, produced a 10,000-foot ash plume, flight level 100. Suwanosejima exploded. Unknown ash plume from Suwanosejima, Mount Ibu, flight level 070 over Halmahera, Indonesia. Semeru, flight level 140, 14,000-foot ash plume over East Java, Indonesia. Dakono, 7,000-foot ash plume from Dakono. Kilauea continues to erupt. There was a 4-magnitude earthquake there at 1911 local time yesterday. That quake didn't have any effect on the Mauna Loa or Kilauea volcanoes. The effusive eruption at Kilauea continues. Headed down to Guatemala, volcanic ash not observed from Fuego. Don't assume it's not erupting and decide to pole vault the caldera. That could be unhelpful. Headed down to Colombia, Nevado del Ruiz exploding, flight level 200. Also a 20,000-foot ash plume coming from Sangay in Ecuador as it explodes. Revenador, flight level 140, a 14,000-foot ash plume from Revenador. And last but not least, Sabancaya exploding, 24,000-foot ash plume. Earthquake activity has been pretty low here the past 24 hours. We haven't even seen a 5-magnitude quake. That is the 90-day bar graph showing only 2 7-magnitude earthquakes over the past 90 days. And we'll just scroll up the list here. I think the largest quake was only a 4.8 magnitude, so things quite seismically calm for the past 24 hours. Largest quake of the past 24 was a 4.8 at Vietnam. So very low level of activity there as far as earthquakes. And let's get back to space. The 10.7 centimeter radial flux now up to 103 solar flux units. And if you're wondering what that means, it's a very important data set. It's proportional to sunspot number. It comes from the upper chromosphere and lower corona. And there's the 1-year chart. It's that black line coming back up over 100 as new sunspots form in the southeast of the solar disk. We have a coronal hole high-speed stream subsiding. Solar wind speed down here a bit, and we did have one CME that never hit. So NOAA agreed with us on that, but that one never showed up. Expecting geomagnetic calm conditions for the next 3 days. And I would expect a coronal hole wind stream late in the day on August 25th. So that would be, I think, Thursday. Late in the day on Thursday, we can expect to see maybe some geomagnetic unrest conditions. Maybe even a minor geomagnetic storm from a pretty significant coronal hole. We'll get to it. And here's the earthly geospace, Earth's magnetic moment from space. And that should be the last 4 hours. While that reloads, let's pause for station identification. Welcome to the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. So here's the last 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from space. Magnetohydrodynamic pressure here calming down quite a bit as the plasma around the planet attempts to reach static equilibrium. Something that happens in nature, folks. Things try to reach static equilibrium. Next, Earth's magnetic moment from the ground. Things pretty calm on the surface as well. That is changes to Earth's B field. Geospace delta B, and the units are nanotesla, magnetic flux density. KP is only at 1, planetary K index, a measurement of global geomagnetism. Steadily ramping down there from the afternoon of August 21st. And let's go to the real-time solar wind here. Some suspected errors there. You can see that yellow bar down at the bottom. Some suspected errors in the ACE and Discover. Actually, just the Discover at the moment. As best we can tell, solar wind density around 5.5 protons per cubic centimeter. Solar wind speed about 480 kilometers per second. Pretty steady over the past 24 hours. Next, some magnetic data. There's your GOES magnetometer, the GOES 16 and GOES 17 magnetometer readings from their geosynchronous near equatorial orbits. Things pretty calm as far as those go as well. Earth remains in a South Pole oriented current sheet, and we may see a change coming here. So we may see an acceleration of the arrival of this North Pole current sheet, as we do see some fairly strong sunspots in the southern hemisphere. Here's the sun's line of sight field plot. And you can see some additional very well-defined South Pole oriented coronal holes there rotating in. Here's the coronal hole line of sight plot. And this one down here in the southeast is quite well defined, as most of the South Solar Polar Field there oriented towards the Earth at the moment. And here's a great view of that in 211 angstroms from SDO. Again, late in the day on the 25th, I would expect some coronal hole high-speed stream from this coronal hole system. Maybe geomagnetic unrest conditions returning. Now let's get the sunspots next. Since once again we've got some new ones showing up in the southeast. So once again, 3085 has grown since yesterday. We've got this group over here, 3081, setting in the northwestern limb. That increases the likelihood of large flares from it. This group here is also magnetically complex. That'll be 3086, and we've got 3087, I think, behind it, which is an alpha class sunspot at the moment, it appears. We'll show you some more imagery of that. And there's the X-ray profile over the past 3 days, and we saw several C-class flares there. No relativistic particles showing up. And somehow I failed to put up my sunspot imagery. I don't know what's up with that. Let's get to that before we show the 131 angstroms. We'll show the magnetogram. in the heck? Oh, there we go. Ah, yes, the dangers of streaming live, folks. The dangers of streaming live. So here's a sunspot imagery. There's our SDO continuum. And there's our magnetogram. Most likely places for flares would be this area here, sunspot 3085, and this new sunspot down here. It just formed. Those are the three places to watch. You can see these groups forming down here. That new group there appears to only be alpha class at the moment. Close-ups of sunspot 3086 and 3087. And here's 3085. Some umbral consolidation happening in the leading portion of that sunspot. And let's move on to the flare wavelengths. Several C-class flares are in there. And they're mainly, if not all, from sunspot 3085. Here's 94 angstroms as well. And continuing on, we encourage you to look up. If you're up before dawn, you may see the moon between Venus and Mars, also Jupiter up there near the ecliptic. We like to face our star chart to the south. And before we do a solar system forecast, let's get back to station identification. Welcome to the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. Don't forget to Mensa. Make Earth not suck again. It's up to you. And thanks for leaving a comment, Tinman1057. Good morning to you as well. Here's your solar system forecast. We've got a crescent waning moon. We're approaching a new moon. Let's do a 1 week forecast. Here's where things will be in a week. We will have a crescent waxing moon by the 30th of August. Venus getting lonely on the opposite side of the sun. Mercury meeting up with the rest of the planets on our side. Keep in mind that diagram is not to scale. Next, looking at some coronagraphs. This is yesterday's imagery. And coronal mass ejection has been kind of low here the past couple of days. We can expect to see one soon. There are a lot of filaments in the northern hemisphere. We'll show that in the bonus features segment. So that's yesterday. Here's today's coronagraph imagery so far. No coronal mass ejections to talk about. We'll briefly show the stereo A and the SOHO-LASCO C3 imagery. Bring those both back to show that indeed the coast is clear. Again, there are a lot of filaments in the northern hemisphere of the sun. We're going to show the hydrogen alpha imagery a little later in the video. Today we're drinking organic Peruvian medium roast. So here's that hydrogen alpha imagery I was talking about. Lots of filaments in the northern hemisphere, and some of them are quite huge. Especially this one here. We'll be keeping an eye on those. And here's some additional imagery. The last about 2.5 hours from the GOES 16 SUVI, and lots of prominences here in the southeastern limb. Lots of prominences. And how about some higher res imagery? This is 335 plus 171 angstroms from SDO. And that is the last 24 hours. And let's blast through bonus features. Satellite's community dashboard showing a lot of satellite charging hazards here. All internal charging here south of the equator. Some significant internal charging hazard around Australia, Indonesia, Papua New Guinea, the southern Indian Ocean, Madagascar, moving across Africa as we stream the video. Those internal charging hazards caused by high energy electrons getting inside of satellite circuitry. Because there's an electron storm going on, there are the GOES 16 and GOES 17 electron flux measurements. High levels of electron flux at the moment. NOAA forecasting a continued few days here. And if we do see a coronal hole high-speed wind stream strike, we can expect to see that dip down again, kind of like we saw here a couple of days ago. And there's the 1-year chart of the relativistic electrons to put that in context. Let's take a look at the F ionosphere layer, the vibrational frequency of the bridge between Earth and space. So that's what's going on up there. And shout out to Kimberly for inadvertently informing me of this data a couple of years ago. Here's the anomalygram, anomaly in megahertz from the 30-day median. We'll stop that at the latest image. There's the latest image, 10:15 Universal Time. Bonus features continue with the total electron content forecast, showing you the most likely places for GPS errors. Those are the free electrons all the way up to the outer Van Allen belt down to your handset. And things are fairly organized here, as we tend to see when we see high levels of electron flux. Feel free to pause the video on the next frame. If you're not familiar with distances to things in miles, distances to things like the SDO, the Outer Van Allen Belt, GPS satellites, and the International Space Station, distances shown there in miles. Latest intensitygram and latest colorized magnetogram. Let's check out these new sunspot groups. So the leading one is definitely beta gamma class. The trailing one, only alpha class, at least at the moment. And sunspot 3085, quite significant. Still looking beta gamma delta class. And still the most likely place for major solar flares. Although again, this area here and this area here also somewhat likely. Do we have a sunspot up here? Not so much. And let's bring up one more composite here. This is the 304, 211, and 171 angstroms SDO. Keep in mind, in this view, 171 angstroms is in blue. It's normally in gold. 304 is in its normal red. And 211 is in green instead of its purplish color that we use to show coronal holes. So that is our space weather segment, and it's time to go to meteorology. But first, let's talk about the channel. This is the Smash News Network, least busted name in news, citing fact after fact, which apparently it's very controversial. Again, I'm your host, Dan, a.k.a. Smash-O-Mash. And we've created our own website because in 2018, a crack YouTube unit, us, was sent to social media prison for a crime we didn't commit. We promptly escaped a maximum security, pathetic Facebook stockade into the internet underground where we survive as producers of fortune. If you have a problem, nonsense on YouTube, and if you can find the content, maybe you can hire the Smash team. You can find all of our links on the homepage, and welcome to the Neo-Renaissance. I know, facts are so 2019, right? So support us there via clicks. Check out the SureMed link, the YouTube link, the Twitter link, Instagram, etc. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. There's a poll, by the way. Make sure you check out our Twitter poll and answer it. It has to do with free speech. I think I'm allowed to say the word free speech on YouTube. I guess there's some new policies about talking about whether or not masks are effective on YouTube as well. I won't mention it today. Twitter.com/Smash-O-Mash. And we're not ready to do that yet. So again, make sure you follow us on Twitter. There is a poll, and for some reason it's not loading. Haha! Oh wow, okay, great. We're also on Twitch, thanks to our Twitch followers. We love the live streaming platform because it's so functional. Here at the Smash News Network, we like functional software. Non-functional software kind of pisses us off. On a totally unrelated note, make sure you press like and subscribe on YouTube. We've made some changes to the channel default page. We've put up our smashomash.org presents videos as the default videos. Again, press like, press subscribe, press share. Tell your friends and foes about the channel. It's only the most comprehensive space weather content on the entire internet, in the entire world, and the most detailed imagery that you'll see of the sun. If you want to support us via subscription membership, become a member of the Smash team at the gold or silver level. There's also a bronze level, which costs you $0 per month. The gold or silver level include additional features. Thanks to the Smash team, smashomash.com/Smash team, we replace Patreon with our own superior website. You can find links to the SureMed as well. Help yourself out with a membership to the American Better Health Organization, the American Better Health Association. It's not insurance. It's an association membership. It's almost like AAA, but for the human body. You can find my link there, as well as the phone number and email address. Drop me a line. It's $20 a month with an initial fee of $20 for setup. And it gives you all kinds of things like health advocate solutions, where you can have somebody negotiate lower bills on your behalf, 15 to 50% dental discounts by Aetna Dental Access, virtual doctors, teledoc service, doctors by phone, even virtual veterinarians. Yeah, it's almost like a teledoc service, but for your pets. SureMed, an association membership with the American Better Health Organization. Check out our merch. We've listed it here in order of best selling. Today's featured product is, it's not Mensa, even though I'm wearing the Mensa hat. I'm also wearing the Galactic Federation Special Forces Universum Liberate shirt. If you want to really confuse people, start talking to them about the Galactic Federation Special Forces. If you want the blankest looks that you could possibly imagine, don't just tell them to Mensa, make Earth not suck again. Tell them Universum Liberate. Remember, folks, our finest days lie ahead, and if you're going through hell, keep going. Things will look up. And remember, accountability always comes. Even if you're an unelected official like Fauci, accountability always comes. So if you're sick of bringing freedom and liberty to your state, country, continent, hemisphere, planet, or solar system, start bringing it to the galaxy the way the Galactic Federation Special Forces does, and proclaim our motto, Universum Liberate. Now we're moving into the realm of waves. And the biggest waves in the world here are near Argentina. They're about 28, nearly 29 footers in the Southern Ocean there near the Drake Passage, which is a hell of a weird place because you've got the Pacific Ocean right here and you've got the Atlantic Ocean right here, and they're trying to reach static equilibrium through this narrow, I mean, it's a few hundred miles, but it's still narrow in terms of the size of the oceans. The Drake Passage, the area where the Atlantic and Pacific Ocean attempt to reach static and thermal equilibrium. Let's bring up our wind maps as we do. So there are the surface winds of the eastern world. Here are the jet streams. Some very cold air showing up there at Tasmania. As winter continues on, we have a backward jet stream over the western Pacific and northern Indian Ocean. Here are the jet streams of the Americas. Incoherent jet stream over most of the U.S., but a convergence happening here around Virginia, North Carolina. And then making a turn to the north, bringing some warm air up toward Maine. Chaotic jet streams in the northern hemisphere. And here are the surface winds of this side of the planet. The western world. Here are the surface winds of the central world. Europe, Africa, the Middle East. And here are the jet streams. Jet stream also blowing backward over part of the central Atlantic and northern African continent. Here's your weather.gov map as flood watches continue over large portions of Texas, Louisiana, southern Arkansas, and Mississippi. Also some flood watches there in New Mexico, but the main flooded area is indeed those Gulf states. If your county's lit, head to weather.gov and click your county. Here's your total accumulated precipitation forecast. And you can see that concentrated area there near the Texas-Louisiana border, expecting like 7 inches of rain in some isolated regions there. And those areas are quite flat. Floodwaters have a tendency to stick around in those areas. Less than optimal. That is your 72-hour GFS total accumulated precipitation forecast. The scale here is in inches, and again, expecting 6+ inches of rain there. We'll also show the temperature anomaly forecast based on the same GFS model for the same period of time. That is 72 hours. And that is degrees Celsius, temperature anomaly. Next, showing you a feature that we don't normally show here on the channel. This is the ozone layer. So the ozone layer, yes, it is one of the many features that you can view on Windy.com's app. And the ozone layer is, well, it's responsible for filtering out ultraviolet light. So one of the areas where you can expect to see anomalously high levels of ultraviolet light would be underneath the ozone hole. And the holiest hole, the most significant ozone hole, is this one right here over the Antarctic continent. Of course, we've known at least since the 1980s about ozone holes. You can see another significant ozone hole here over the Southern Ocean. And the North Polar region has less significant ozone holes. And you can see some interesting ozone holes here over the Indian Ocean, actually. Some areas of low ozone there. Not to be confused with surface level ozone, which is just pollution. This is the upper atmospheric ozone, the naturally occurring ozone layer. Again, that's the biggest hole around the Southern Ocean and Antarctica. Next, we've got your NASA GOES lightning mapper imagery. There's the lightning situation, some heavy lightning there over southern Texas. And let's go to a real-time lightning map. We've got some terrestrial strikes here around the Montana-Canada border. There's some thunder rolling in. Some significant cells happening there around the Milk River. Also the eastern Mediterranean seeing some heavy lightning. So that's what's going on as far as current lightning cells. Here's your U.S. Doppler radar. You can see those heavy rains. This imagery just not loading well lately. Here's our satellite 3.9 nanometer infrared radiation map. It shows clouds and fog when it's too dark for the visible satellite. And here is water vapor. Again, we still have this high pressure zone here, which likely has clear skies below it and is acting like a blocking feature. You can see this moisture here not making it down any farther south. And then a jet stream convergence happening right around here, blowing some air up to the north. It is also constraining this moisture in this area. There's another high pressure system down here. That's some more dry, massive air. And hopefully that should clarify things. There's your U.S. Doppler radar, which is broken. We may have to start using a different radar, folks. Anyway, here's your recap. That's the clouds and fog. And there is water vapor. A weak low here around Lake Ontario. You can see a counterclockwise rotation happening there. And that is where the space weather video ends. Don't forget to understand the difference between space and Earth weather, folks. Once again, thanks for tuning in to the Smash News Network, least busted name in news, and may that solar wind be at your back. Opinions expressed in this video, not necessarily the opinions of Smash News Network, least busted name in news.